family. Long brother continues to be outdoors. The rooftop broadcast, let's have a fierce today. Shaved a big bald head and a big face resembling a chrysanthemum grin and smiled at the mobile phone. I know that my family is very curious about us in Dongshan City. Today, my long brother will satisfy everyone's curiosity and give someone a special flower. I bought this aerial drone for a big price, and it is said to be able to fly more than 500 meters high. Let me say that the people above have not figured out what is inside. Although it is expressly forbidden to let us get close, I don't believe in this evil. If something happens, I will treat it as a blessing to mankind. Families, what are you waiting for? The present walks up and chants, and the secret will be officially revealed in 10 minutes. At the same time the camera turned. Unexpectedly, the sky was not visible above my head. Instead, there were black clouds all over, piled up and rolled slowly, as if there was something inside that wanted to break through the pupa. Even the black cloud pressing the city and wanting to destroy the city is not enough to describe the hugeness. Sense of oppression. On the other side of the roof, a guy in his mid-30s who was in his mid-30s was also tinkering with a mobile phone, but his camera was facing the hard-working long brother intentionally or unintentionally. Looking at the screen, it turned out to be a live broadcast room, but the introduction of the live broadcast room is only 4 words: civilized monkey watching, and the bottom is full of barrages of no dolls. Brother Chien, you still know how to play? A thin guy next to him holding his mobile phone excitedly said, the number of people in our live broadcast room is only a little less than that of the product, and there is no risk at all, but you won't be blocked after doing this. It's sealed, let's have fun, and we are not ready to make money with this stuff. Lu Sanqian took a sip of the blue building and said with a smile, this product is also a talent. I really think that the drone can fly to the clouds, but this dark cloud has given him a lot of fans. Alas, if it's not. Hey Yoon, let's not worry about our leisure time. It's been a week since the black cloud appeared. Brother Chien, what are you talking about in it? It won't really be aliens attacking the Earth. Several of my relatives ran away ahead of time. It's nothing. If it's really an alien, why do you go to our ruined place? Wouldn't it be fragrant to go directly to the United States? The air over there is good, and the moon is bigger than ours. That's not necessarily true. I can listen to my old classmate who lives in the suburbs. The army has begun to enter the city one after another. I think there must be something in it. Why do you care so much? I blame you people for being suspicious all day long. Lu Sanqian rubbed the dark circles under his eyes and cursed, it has been like midnight from morning to night these days, and my work and rest are disturbed. I always want to sleep, and I have patches of rashes and ulcers on my body. The medicine is useless. Let's go to the hospital for a look. Your recent condition is really wicked. I always feel like you are a vampire. With the addition of tiger teeth, it's even more like. I have to protect my neck and buttocks at night. Wait a minute. Thank you Yan Shuangying's big brother in leather for the super rocket for his younger brother. Before 5 minutes passed, Brother Long suddenly laughed from ear to ear, I'm sorry for the family who didn't come. Brother has spoken, we can't help but listen. Don't wait, just do it, and now it's witnessing a miracle. Moment. While speaking neatly, while also starting to move in his hands, the drone buzzed into the sky, and the two Lu Sanqian on the other side couldn't help but concentrate. Boom! Unexpectedly, there was a sudden loud noise, the ground shook and the mountain shook, knocking them all to the ground, and the drone flew down the rooftop. Brother Long shook his head and stood up, touching his bald head angrily, the drone that was just bought by labor and management is thousands of dollars, good guys are all shreds. This is an earthquake, but we are not an earthquake zone here. Confused Lu Sanqian held the phone with the broken screen distressfully and asked Brother Long, does your phone still have internet access? There is a fart network, and the live broadcast room gave me back. It is estimated that the signal tower is broken. Brother Long's angry forehead was dark, but in the next second he said anxiously, "It's not the cause of the black cloud, right? Since this thing appeared, we Dongshan haven't had any good things. Could this be earthquake cloud? Wait, you two look at the sky, the clouds seem to be moving." The little thin man suddenly pointed to the top of his head in a panic. Lu Sanqian waved his hand indifferently. "The one who doesn't move is the bastard, and the one who didn't move before was pretty powerful. You guys, I was scared by this small earthquake, right?" He was stunned as soon as he raised his head. The boss with his mouth opened was so frightened that he was still the little thin man shouting, "The sky is falling! Run!" At the same time he pulled him. I saw the black clouds covering the sky, falling down like a big quilt, and the wind was violent in an instant, and the telegraph poles not far away burst into sparks. The black cloud reached the end in the blink of an eye. The powerful air wave immediately lifted the three of them. "Go down, go down!" Brother Long ran up and down, and Lu Sanqian, who had fallen to the ground, hurriedly opened the wooden door closed by the air wave, but a roar of evil spirits came from behind him, and at the same time, a large black shadow also rushed out from the black cloud. "Damn!" The little skinny fart pissed, and the three of them just ran to the top of the stairs, and a few long tentacles entangled like black snakes. Lu Sanqian and Longa took a steel pipe and swiped a stick fiercely, and ate the tentacles. Pain Kuo then retreated, but the wooden door burst open, and a huge head poked out of it. "Hurry up! Run!" Several people ran downstairs in 3 steps. Lu Sanqian shouted as he ran, "Go straight downstairs. The thing is at least 3 or 4 meters long. The door doesn't work at all. I have a car downstairs. Out of the city. It's easy to handle, there are troops outside the city, and there are no dark clouds. These monsters all come out of the dark clouds." I walked out of the residential building in a blink of an eye. Unexpectedly, the surroundings screamed again and again. The black clouds have now become black fog. The streets are full of various monsters and panicked ordinary people. The color of blood is even. It was also very clear in the fog, and Dongshan City became a real on earth in an instant. "It's over." The little thin man's legs softened and he knelt on the ground in disbelief. Lu Sanqian thought he was shocked and immediately cursed, but the little thin man spit out a mouthful of bright red blood, and Lu Sanqian saw his chest. There was a dark claw. "Hwazi!" Lu Sanqian roared hysterically, but a huge figure slammed into the middle of the road with a bang. The monster was close to 3 meters, with short limbs and out of balance, but its belly looked like a full balloon. It took a deep breath and spit out a large swath of turbid liquid with a poof, and it gushed at them like a fountain. "Come!" "What?" The liquid was extremely corrosive, splashing on his clothes, sizzling. He didn't have any protective measures, and a few drops of the liquid stuck on his face. The flesh was corroded, and he screamed like a pig in pain. A monster waiting for an opportunity immediately rushed forward, and the smelly mouth hit his neck severely. The pain spread all over his body, and the fear of death swept over him. His eyes closed, after all. Lost consciousness. Roar! The roar of the monster heard in his ears. Lu Sanqian opened his eyes blankly, and suddenly realized that the surroundings were surprisingly quiet, but the sky was still dark, reminding him that the disaster that happened was not a dream. "I'm not dead. I was wondering that. I checked it again and didn't lose any parts." Although many people around were walking on the road, but when he looked over, there were dead faces with hollow eyes, like in a movie. Zombies. But not only did he not die, nor did he become a walking corpse like other humans, but these walking corpses turned a blind eye to him. He was like a system loophole and successfully labeled as owner. "Ho!" Just as he was thinking about what went wrong, a zombie screamed inexplicably. He turned his head without saying a word, and just screamed, which directly frightened the guy. "Bow!" Just like Lu Sanqian got rabies, he grinned and threatened this timid zombie. He didn't expect that the zombie would eat this set, bowing his head obediently like a little sheep. "Fuck, it's broken." The triumphant Lu Sanqian suddenly burst into cold sweat, and a humanoid monster that appeared out of thin air from the black fog before also noticed something wrong here, half bowed his body and walked towards him slowly. "Hey!" He hastened to learn from the voice of the zombie brother, and the humanoid monster's dark face was a little suspicious. His heart fell to his throat at such a close distance, and he bent his legs to be ready to leave at any time. The monster is much shorter than him. He has black skin and bumps on his face. It looks like a big toad, but Lu Sanqian feels that his suspicions are all pretended. Seeing its posture, it doesn't look like a big toad. Species of thinking ability. Humph! The black toad snorted, turned his head and left. Lu Sanqian let out a long sigh of relief, who knew that the zombie kid next to him suddenly became fierce and scared him to shut up quickly. The black toad glanced back, and the zombie little brother Pidian followed, and he finally understood the meaning of the goods, and quickly pretended to be a zombie and walked behind the boss. The big man walked with great style, and found more than a dozen zombies as his younger brother in just a short time of peeing. Later, the younger brother was very conscious and felt Lu Sanqian's unique temperament and domineering side leakage, so he vacated his position and let him become the big brother's first younger brother. Dongshan City has become a world of monsters, and the zombies are all sweeping the area under the leadership of their elder brothers. Under such intensive sweeping methods, it is not known how many humans can be spared. And after a few sweeps, he even squeezed his sweat for other people. There are so many types of monsters. The cheap brother they think is just the bottom shoe shining brother, and it is everywhere. Yes. Ababa. The talented Lu Sanqian successfully led a bunch of zombies. He turned around a few times stupidly. The black-skinned toad was caught by a squad leader and didn't dare to pretend to be forced. The rest of the zombies naturally, he wandered around following him. Humph! Turning around, a tall and sturdy monster suddenly appeared. His tendon flesh was like the legendary muscle terror, and he glanced proudly at the team, and the greasy head was full of fat. Lu Sanqian thought it was holding a basketball, but it was a head, and the terror threw down a pile of rotten meat like a reward. The zombies rushed forward in a hurry, and they also reserved a precious position. Pattern, patter. The terror took a stride to leave. Lu Sanqian finally couldn't help but vomited on the ground. I didn't think that these zombies were not disgusting, and he sent them to his mouth as soon as he finished vomiting. Then he vomited out again, not to mention how uncomfortable it was. Mad, it's not a way to go on like this. Throwing away the zombies, Lu Sanqian found an alley and sat down at the root of the wall. He understood that these zombies had limited intelligence. As long as they were not too outrageous, they would not be exposed, but the monsters were not so foolish. Captain, he can be easily spotted even if he farts. After spinning for so long, I still haven't found little skinny and long brother. The monsters will fill up their stomachs while transforming part of human beings. Now they think they have no bones left. Ugh! With a long sigh, he took out his broken screen phone and took a look in the mirror. Amazingly, his face was scarred early. Although the bite mark on his neck was still there, it didn't hurt at all, even the previous one. Her rashes and ulcers disappeared strangely. Still handsome. Putting away the phone, he swaggered into a supermarket, stuffed a bag of food and water, and found a fruit knife and screwdriver for self-defense. After thinking about it, he took 2 bags of N95 in case of emergency. These monsters, or change their name to the Corpse Clan, better, maybe they are really aliens coming to invade the Earth, and Lu Sanqian has one of the biggest advantages besides not being discovered by the Corpse Clan. It is no one knows the Corpse Clan better than him. Although there is a bit of chi in the river, it is not an exaggeration at all. It is not white in the corpse pile. The Corpse Clan smashes, and he can guess which formula is the shit. It turns out that my illness is just not feeling. Humming a little tune, he walked quickly in the direction of going out of town. In the dark fog, there is no difference between day and night. This killing is still going on. From time to time, there are humans who want to escape, but under the siege of the corpse clan, the chance of surviving is slim. What? A soprano screamed in shock, and she was looking for death in the black fog. Lu Sanqian walked over with interest and saw a man and a woman besieged by a few zombies. Can't get close. But a sneaky figure had long been waiting for an opportunity to move. The man seemed to have discovered the danger. He climbed up the wall in 2 steps, ignoring the woman who was shrinking in the corner. What? The black toad jumped up high like a grasshopper, and rushed straight at the woman, but his excellent skills suddenly performed abnormally and slammed the horse down. Aren't you awesome, brother? The instigator Lu Sanqian smiled happily, and the black-skinned toad immediately became angry. He didn't understand why this honest little zombie would pull its hind legs, but the next second it was stunned, because a screwdriver was already stabbed its head through the eye socket. Woo! The woman was already crying. I wiped away tears when I saw that Lu Sanqian could see what she looked like. She looked pretty, especially her chest was turbulent, and her clothes couldn't hide her. You toad, climb the wall and pretend to be Spider-Man. Lu Sanqian said without looking back, let's go quickly. When the captain comes over, I won't be able to save you. Although puzzled, the man and the woman followed him into a clothing store. I saw that he closed all the windows and doors with ease, took a bottle of 6-God perfume and sprayed it all around. The man sneezed and suddenly realized, I see, you want to cover the smell with perfume. Otherwise? Zombies basically rely on their sense of smell. They have searched this place and won't come back for a while. How did you just do it? The man asked tremblingly. Lu Sanqian smiled, in fact, besides looking at scaring people, that thing is just a little faster. Any ordinary person can blow its head with a knife. Didn't you see that it is half a head shorter than you? Thank you just now. The man nodded in shock and introduced himself. My name is Li Chao. She is my sister, Li Ro. Just get acquainted, just start rubbing it, isn't it good? Lu Sanqian rubbed his hands pretending to be excited, and Li Ro immediately retreated behind Li Chao. Haha, just kidding, I'm Lu Sanqian, 3,000 yuan, where are you going to go? I'm very courageous, dare to wander around with an axe. We want to get out of town. Li Chao sternly said, when hay mist just landed, my sister and I dodged in the basement for a while, and also heard the news from the radio station there. Those monsters could not leave the Black Mist's range, and they would be safe when they left the city. The army will also respond. But it is too far out of the city, but the radio also said that there is no monster within the range of Pagoda Mountain, so all the survivors who received the news started to rush there. The radio is not working. Lu Sanqian suspiciously said, the Pagoda Mountain is also full of black fog, you will not be slammed, will you? No, that's true, my buddy is from the SWAT team, I heard his voice with my own ears. Tisk tusk, after entering the Pagoda Mountain, it's not far from the city. Yes, but we can't even make it to Pagoda Mountain. Li Chao shook his head dejectedly. Brother Lu, I think you seem to be familiar with this neighborhood, or let's cooperate. When we arrive at Pagoda Mountain, I will ask someone to send us out of the city, and my uncle is in business. There is nothing wrong with the gangsters and the white roads. What will happen in the future, my brother will be all covered. Let me think about this. Looking at Li Chao, who was slapped on his chest, Lu Sanqian deliberately glanced at Li Ro's clothes. Who knew that Li Chao just wanted to speak, but Li Ro suddenly pointed at him in astonishment. Your neck, Brother Chao, he was bitten by a zombie. The two immediately kept a safe distance of 5 meters from him, and Li Chao said loudly, no wonder you weren't bitten by that monster, it turns out that you were infected long ago. Stupid. Unexpectedly, Lu Sanqian didn't change his face at all. You two take a closer look. Does this bite mark look like a new one? It was bitten by labor and management last week. Then what were you bitten by? Looking for a lady to cheat for me, it's a bit bigger, I'm happy, what's the matter? Ha ha ha, brother Lu is indeed vigorous. Only then did Li Chao put down his guard and walked over with a smile on his face. Brother Lu, you saved our lives. You are our great benefactor. The days to come will still be there. Now Pagoda Mountain is not peaceful, although people are being sent out in batches, but how can the common people rank in the front? If we are together, I promise my brother can make arrangements right away. Ro. Lu Sanqian did not hesitate to agree directly. Then you hurry up and prepare, it should not be too late, it is time to pack up and leave. Just go through like this. Li Chao was a little unbelievable. Otherwise, I will find some good brothers for you to lift the sedan chair and blow the suana to send you. Lu Sanqian rolled his eyes and grinned casually. Zombies are not high in IQ. As long as their acting skills are good enough, they will naturally treat you as the same kind. There is no need to say more about actor like me. You still have to have some props and learn more. Be a little bit, learn that you have to live in your hands, and you will have to pay you 8,000 if you want to meet the past. When the door of the clothing store opened, Lu Sanqian appeared as if no one had come out, while Li Chao and the two lowered their heads to follow in a hurry. They both wore black raincoats, wrapped tightly, and the raincoats were covered with black and red blood. And even an intestine tied around his waist. Brother Lu, slow down. Do not talk. The surrounding zombies hardly reacted, and occasionally one or two of them came up to sniff and were ready to follow, but he immediately made a ghost cry and frightened them away abruptly. It's over, the squad leader you mentioned is here. The three of them walked into an alley without zombies. Unexpectedly, the Black Corpse clan of more than 2 meters just passed by, like an upgraded version of the Black Toad, except that the claws have been replaced with sickle-like bone blades. Lu Sanqian felt bad, and just wanted to go back, but the eyes of the sickle monster also happened to be right. Calm down, don't move. He hurriedly reminded him in a low voice, but Li Chao behind him had long since disappeared, and Li was shivering weakly like a bunny. The sickle monster slowly walked over, step by step, like a of death. What? Li Ro really couldn't hold back, she screamed and ran in the opposite direction, but Lu Sanqian turned mad and threw her down, roaring like a wolf dog, and bit her flesh with her mouth wide open. Little face! Well! Don't move, or I will bite off your tongue. After sticking to her ears and saying something, Lu Sanqian actually blocked her mouth. Li Ro was not a fool, and immediately reacted, and she shook with him, and stopped moving. Patter, patter. The footsteps were getting closer and closer, but Lu Sanqian turned a deaf ear. If Li Ro really escaped, the sickle monster could catch up with her and cut her head in 2 steps, but the current situation can only be resigned and pray for God's blessing. Base. Fortunately, the sickle monster jumped on the wall and disappeared. After a while, Li Ro patted him on the back and said timidly, Brother Lu, it seems to have gone. Stop talking. Lu Sanqian's throat moved, and solemnly said, You don't know, these corpses are very ghosts, don't let me kill them again later, let's pretend to be a while, obedient. After talking, Li Ro moved up again, and Li Ro simply closed her eyes. Take this to wipe it. Lu Sanqian smirked and handed over a pack of tissues. Li Ro quickly took it and wiped it clean. He blushed and didn't even dare to look at him, but he got a bargain and said, Just now there was an emergency. If I didn't bite you, both of us might have to die here. If I count, I saved your life again, but it doesn't matter. Saving a life is better than building a 7th level Buddha. The mouth is so sweet. Stop talking. Li Ro lowered her head in embarrassment, but behind the wall Li Chao stared at them in astonishment, and said, What did you two just do? Do you still have the face to say? Lu Sanqian didn't fight with anger, You almost killed us just now, don't you know? Don't you remember what I said when I just went out? Forget it, I won't take this job, where do you fall in love and where do you go? Don't, brother Lu. Li Chao immediately panicked and looked at Li Ro, who was also panicked. You quickly say a few words, we definitely can't go out without brother Lu. Lu. Brother Lu, please, take me out. Li Ro said softly, but she had changed from us to me. At first glance, she understood that Li Chao couldn't be trusted at all, and he ran faster than anyone else. Since Rura has spoken, then I will send the Buddha to the west. Lu Sanqian, who had changed his name, agreed with a smile, and looked at Li Chao. Uncle, what are you waiting for? Go, if you delay, the zombies should be found. With the experience just now, there was no accident in the middle. Although I didn't go far, I was too tired. I was definitely more tired when my nerves were tight. At noon the next day, they simply found a room and temporarily repaired it for a while. I'm going to take a bath, you two pay attention, don't let the corpse monster touch in. Lu Sanqian pointed to the windowsill. There was a kin bottle tied with a string on it. It was a simple alarm, and all the entrances and exits were set up. The good news is that there is hot water in the bathroom. The family is very particular and installed a large bathtub. He was sleepy and unstoppable after soaking in the water. When he woke up, he changed into clean clothes and walked to the living room. Where is brother Lu? It seems to be asleep inside. Then what did you just do? Li Chao asked in a deep voice while sitting on the sofa. To the restroom. Haha, it takes 5 minutes to go to the toilet. Li Chao said in a weird manner, I'm afraid I went to find Lu Sanqian for a tryst. Okay, you two just made a pair. You almost couldn't hold it back in the alley before. You really thought I didn't see it? He was saving me. Do I need to draw to save you? Who is to blame? What else can I do? Li Ro's tears came down, and she cried out, Li Chao, you are too much. You can't even pull me when you meet a zombie. In front of brother Lu, you even said that I was your sister. You thought about me. How do you feel? Tisk tusk, it's really affectionate to call out brother Lu every bit. Li Chao suddenly became furious and said, you didn't see his eyes? I don't say that he can take us away. Don't treat him as a good person. You are only playing with you. Yes, I let you, it's a lie, but it's not for you to make a fake show. Li Ro, why didn't I find you so cheap before? Yes, I'm cheap, I'm a bad guy. Shaking all over, Li Ro suddenly slapped herself severely and sobbed, Li Chao, we're over. You brought me such a big hat, thought it would be done so easily. Come over to me. Li Chao stood up and blushed with a thick neck, reached out his hand to pinch Li Ro's neck, and smiled grinningly, don't worry, I won't do anything to you. I have to thank you. Otherwise, how can I fool Lu Sanqian? Am I out of town? Papa Lu Sanqian clapped and finally couldn't help but stand up. It was a good show, but Li Chao, you really misunderstood her. For 5 minutes, who do you look down on? Didn't you fall asleep? Why did you wake up so soon? Li Chao changed color in astonishment, and hurriedly pushed Li Ro over and said with a smile on his face, Brother Lu, you should have heard it just now. I have nothing to do with her. In fact, to be honest, this kind of stuff is out of the question. After the city, it's not as much as you want. As soon as the voice fell, I heard the window be slammed with a bang, and a dark eyeball was peeking in through the window. Lu Sanqian's expression changed drastically, and he scolded as he took his bag, it's all good things you did. I'm afraid I can't hear you outside with such a loud voice. Door. Li Chao pushed Li Ro away and ran to the door, but as soon as he opened the door, a few long tentacles entangled him, looking like a big octopus with a human face. Brother Lu, save me. The tentacle monster pulled Li Chao out of the door abruptly, preparing to suffocate him to death. Lu Sanqian hurriedly pulled Li Ro into the back room when he saw it, locked the door and said, be sure to follow me later, we have already leaked. Kisses are not helpful. Good. Li Ro nodded heavily, as if she had found the backbone. Lu Sanqian removed the wooden board on the window, climbed out, and stabbed 3 zombies that didn't care about him one after another with a fruit knife, which made her jump off. You go in and find a place to hide, cover the smell with perfume, don't make any noise. How about you? You go quickly. If you don't leave, it will be too late. Just remember that someone named Lu Sanqian kissed you on the mouth. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Sanqian ran away in the other direction. Li Ro, who said the whole thing, was very moved. In fact, he took Li Ro with him at the most dangerous level, but he somehow led away the team leader and gave it to the lone Li Ro. Ro increased the chance of survival. He didn't dare to breathe as he ran all the way. The zombies were puzzled when they saw him. They thought he had discovered something and didn't want to be left behind, so they ran after him one by one, as if driving a train. Brothers, help out, it's up to you if you can achieve it. Stopped and carefully mixed in among the corpses, hoping to hide it from the sky, but the sickle monster outside the window found it in a blink of an eye, and began to identify one by one with his eyes slightly squinted. Boom! Lu Sanqian gave a kick to a zombie's ass, and the zombie immediately roared, and saw a black light flashing, and the unlucky zombie's corpse separated, and its head fell on the ground and bit the air. Lu Sanqian immediately used a screwdriver to stab the sickle monster at the back of the unsuspecting head. Unexpectedly, the latter was far more powerful than the black toad, so he ducked away. Boom! He turned his head and broke the glass into a room when he couldn't get a hit. They stayed here. The terrain was relatively familiar. At the same time, he slowly realized that his strength was more than a little bit stronger. Maybe the corpse poison was happening in his body variation. The small space is an obvious advantage for him. The sickle monster rammed in, the furniture in the jumping room was crackling. He hurriedly went up to the second floor and closed the door, scanning around to see if there was anything that could be used. Boom! The sickle monster had unlocking experience at a glance, and broke the door lock within 10 seconds. Unexpectedly, Lu Sanqian would not evade in the room, and opened the valve with a dry powder fire extinguisher. Laugh! The white powder smeared the face of the sickle monster and instantly changed it into a cute shape. The sickle monster that had never seen the world was immediately stunned. The eyes and nostrils were all blocked, and it rushed forward and waved like a circle. Cut! One fell out of the window inadvertently. Puff! Lu Sanqian jumped down and inserted a sharpened screwdriver into the back of its head. The sickle monster roared sternly, and his elbow squeezed wildly. Lu Sanqian, who was holding on to it, hurriedly made up another cone. Finally let it fall to the ground. A bunch of zombies rushed over and looked at the scene blankly, but Lu Sanqian leaned on the wall and cursed with a cigarette in his mouth. A bunch of rubbish, you were humans anyway, you were brainwashed so easily. Okay, your boss has been killed by me, according to the rules of the world, I am your boss, I'll have orders, turn back. Hey! The zombies were unmoved and stayed where they were. Lu Sanqian let out a cry, and immediately frightened them 5 or 6 meters away. I don't understand, how does the corpse clan command you, do you rely on brain waves? But the squad leader has been killed, it must be a bit of equipment. Seeing the two scythes, Lu Sanqian's eyes lit up immediately. He dragged the corpse into the house like a baby, only to find that the scythe was so heavy, he had to use gestures for a long time, and finally taught him how to open his mouth. The zombies, together with them, got the sickle down, and the overall appearance was like 2 machetes. He had seen the sharpness of this thing, and it was definitely a magic weapon. Broken, there is one more. I slapped my forehead, and suddenly remembered that the tentacle monster hadn't followed, so there is only one possibility. Li Ro. When he hurried back in a hurry, opened the toilet door of the house, a petite body immediately rushed up and hugged him and wept with joy. I thought you couldn't come back. Where is the tentacle monster? It didn't come to you. I don't know, I'm so scared, I haven't heard anything from hiding inside. Li Ro's nose twitched and asked, Li Chao, is he dead? Definitely dead. In fact, he was not such a person before, I had already decided to marry him. Li Ro was obviously very sad. After all, he must have had feelings. Lu Sanqian shook his head, and just wanted to comfort him, but he heard a loud noise, as if something had come out of the ground. The inside of his head suddenly seemed to be overcharged, and his expression was so sullen that he was irritated. Li Ro immediately asked, What's wrong with you, are you injured? No. After a long while, he said heavily, Time is running out, we must get out of the city immediately, otherwise it will be too late. The black mist seemed to be about to drip out, but the strange thing was that the sight was not affected. Looking ahead, Dongshan City was devastated and raging fires ignited in many places. After the loud noise, the ground cracked, and something like a python crawled out. It was arranged on the ground like a large net. Only at close range could it be seen that it was a red block fleshy substance covered with a layer of fascia. I can feel that it has life, but fortunately, it can't move. Although it is scattered, it can still be seen as a whole, and its size shouldn't appear on the earth at all. However, Lu Sanqian's fear does not come from it. The fear is obscure and indescribable, just like a black hole. You know how deep it is, but you don't know how deep it is. Brother Lu, there seems to be something in the sky. That's the Corpse Clan's air force. It's quite rare. I haven't seen a few of them. Lu Sanqian didn't take it seriously. The thing was very thin, but it was born with a pair of wing membranes. Generally, it did not participate in the hunting and only served as a report. For safety, he went downstairs and asked Li Ro, Li Chao has a bad stomach. He didn't make up all the things about Bao Tashan, right? It's true, I heard it too. Li Ro fully claimed, however, he does not have any special police friends or relatives who do business. The specific situation of Bao Tashan is not very clear, only knows that there are no zombies. That's it. Lu Sanqian made up his mind, anyway, there must be weirdness there. Maybe we can find a way to restrain the Corpse Clan. There are almost no living in the city. If we drag on, we have to stay here. I listen to you, where do you go and where do I go? Li Ro blushed and sounded like a mosquito. Lu Sanqian immediately became happy, and smiled around her, ha ha ha, no loss or loss, I found a cheap wife before he died, don't worry, as long as it's not like last time the same was caught by the squad leader, and the two of us disguised as zombies would not be dismantled. Before setting off, he specially made an armor for Li Ro. Some iron skin tied her waist, iron wire tied her wrists, and her neck covered with sponges, which made her a big fat man. She was sweaty after walking a few steps, but it was safe. It has greatly increased. They are eating meat. Just a few steps away, Li Ro saw a group of zombies gnawing on the meat that emerged from the ground. Only then did Lu Sanqian understand the meaning of this thing, and suddenly felt bad, as expected, ordinary zombies. After eating the meat, the face is radiant, and the regeneration of the broken limbs is a trifling matter, and some have even begun to evolve in the direction of the Corpse Clan. Hurry up, don't make a noise. The two appeared to be particularly conspicuous. Fortunately, the Corpse Clan just took a rest. They didn't mop around like before, and they wouldn't stupidly bump into the muzzle. After walking for several hours in a row, Li Ro was almost tired and paralyzed, but Lu Sanqian didn't mean to stop at all. Instead, he said excitedly, there are not many zombies around here. Pagoda Mountain is not far away. The news you received is correct. Let's rush in directly. As he said, he handed her a mask, wear this. Don't expose your nose and mouth. If you can remove the things on your body, please remove it, otherwise it won't be convenient to run after a while. I still didn't understand the effect of wearing a mask, but suddenly I noticed that there were more personal shadows in the black mist, and I was puffing out a smoke that was completely different from the black mist. I took a name for that guy, called the miasma. Lu Sanqian put it on himself and began to introduce, it looks like a monkey, and when he is ruthless, he will do everything by himself. Zombies will be affected if they breathe in this poisonous mist. People will become paralyzed after only a few mouthfuls, but masks if you can completely filter out the poisonous mist, you won't be a big problem if you be careful. The miasma was still exhaling there, and didn't pay attention to the approaching Lu Sanqian at all. It was not until Lu Sanqian pulled out the machete wrapped in cloth that he wanted to escape in a panic, but saw him pick up the knife and drop it. And cut off its head easily. Wow, your sword is too powerful. Li Ro's eyes are full of small stars. She seems to be boasting about the knife, but in fact she is boasting. Lu Sanqian said in a puzzled manner, don't hit me with this idea. Didn't I give you one? That one is still a right-handed knife. According to traditional craftsmanship, it should be more powerful. Well, the birdman flew over our heads again. A corpse with wing membranes steadily stopped on the roof of the building and stared at them closely. Lu Sanqian frowned and said as he ran, hurry up, this birdman is shaking people, I guess we have already noticed that something is wrong with us. As soon as the voice fell, those zombies who looked at nothing were fierce, and their speed and size increased a lot. Zhang Wei had no place to vent, and those who got the order to scream and scream chased them. Don't be afraid, poisonous fog can slow them down. Lu Sanqian dragged Li Ro to run wildly, grateful to the miasma in his heart. The front, it seems to be. Desperate Li Ro was out of breath, there was a light in front of it, and the place was dimly illuminated, and a big living person drinking a drink could be seen on a house. Oh, let me go, what's the matter? These two stabbed the zombie mother, right? The big living person shaved a big flat head and looked like a big social brother, and the surrounding guys also laughed, and didn't even look at the aggressive zombies. Brother Lu, they haven't chased you. The zombies suddenly stopped, just to form a dividing line, but Lu Sanqian suddenly became agitated. He looked at the ground as if there was a black air that seemed to have penetrated in. He rubbed his eyes, but it was I can't see it anymore. That's weird, ghost floaters. He bowed his head and muttered to himself. The eldest brother in the society walked over in a huff and smiled at him, congratulations, congratulations to the two escaped. You are safe when you get here. Introduce yourself, Wang Jinggong, in Dongshan. The city is also called the number one person. Did your brother bring money? You have to pay protection fees when you first come in. It doesn't need to be too much. Brother is also particular about people. Just give tens of thousands of dollars. More than. Li Ro frowned when she saw Lu Sanqian, thinking that he would definitely not pay the money, but he happily took out a large stack of banknotes from his pocket, took a bank card, and asked, I have money, but there must be a reason for the protection fee. What are your service items here? It's bright enough, as the saying goes, don't make friends, don't put on a banquet. The social game is banquet, you don't say anything, brother, you go into the house, let's chat. There are dozens of people under Wang Jinggong, which is considered to be a large group. After entering Lu Sanqian, he discovered that there is no system at all in Pagoda Mountain. The survivors are all taking care of their own interests. There are countless large and small groups, but there are many. A special police team, but it can't manage at this time. So no one has ever gone out. How to get out? Go and die one by one. It's better to just wait here for rescue. These monsters can't get in anyway. Wang Jinggong lay on the sofa with Erlang's legs tilted, and spit out a mouthful of smoke with a smile. There are already thousands of people on the mountain. I have never heard of anyone who has escaped. Those monsters are very good. There are more monsters on the edge of the city than inside. There are so many people, the army was beaten like this and didn't come in, still expecting us to escape? But don't panic, brother. The longer this kind of thing is, the better. The army just hasn't reacted yet. After a few days, nothing will happen here. By then, we will all have money for nothing. Depositing in the bank, just eating interest is not a small amount. As Wang Jinggong spoke, Lu Sanqian could only laugh, and asked, why do the corpses dare not come in? Is it possible that they want to raise pigs? How do you say it? Wang Jinggong said in a bad mood, the corpse clan, the whole thing is very foreign, how do I know why they don't come in? Maybe the pagoda on the mountain has appeared. Isn't it okay to say that the heavenly king covers the earth tiger, the river demon in the pagoda town, the monsters outside are also a kind of goblins, so naturally they dare not come in. You are a dog driving a motorcycle, you don't talk about science. Lu Sanqian laughed and said, the broken white pagoda has only been built in the past few years, and it's still pretty, how can it be so mysterious? Otherwise, we have a special magnetic field, which affects their brain waves. Wang Jinggong slammed his cigarette on the table, leaning over his upper body and said, Xiao Lu, follow me, I can see that you are not an ordinary person. The 2 knives in the bag were stripped from the monster, right? Don't worry, you will be intoxicated by feasting and feasting with your eldest brother. No. I don't know social quotations, ha ha ha. Lu Sanqian finally couldn't hold back a smile. Wang Jinggong's expression changed, pretending to deeply shook his head, waved his hand and left the door. Aren't you afraid of him turning his face? What's your face? I said I have more than 5 million in my card. I took it from a rich woman who just died. Is he willing to turn his face? Lu Sanqian scratched Li Ro's nose and stood up and said, to be honest, the service is in place. I didn't expect to have hot water supply. Even the bedding was changed to a new set. Isn't this specially prepared for the 2 of us? Humph, it cost hundreds of thousands, and of course the service is in place, brother Lu, you were slaughtered by him. Hundreds of thousands can build a small THRESTRE mansion in the countryside. Li Ro said angrily, but Lu Sanqian shook her head, it's no big deal. They are all picked up anyway. The top priority now is to enjoy this moment. Look, the petals have been scattered for you, and there are big red candles, take off your clothes and take a bath, we will enter the bridal chamber. Ah, no, this is too fast. You can rest assured at this point, it's impossible. It really doesn't work, I have a cold and I feel sick. Li Ro's face turned red with a swish, and she hurried back to hide, but Lu Sanqian's big hand was already stretched out, and she unbuttoned her clothes very dexterously, and laughed, I've caught a cold, right? That's right, let you see and see, what is a little bird to heal people, and cure all diseases. Hey! The rooster cries loudly, but they still can't scream at dawn. The appearance of black fog has the greatest impact on them. Several roosters have neurological disorders. They yell all day long, and it is said that one of them is stillborn. An egg is really an anecdote. I blame you, my throat hurts so much now. Li Ro angrily hammered Lu Sanqian's shoulder, with love in her eyebrows, and the latter smiled and threw her some throat lozenges. Boom boom. Suddenly someone smashed the door outside, and only heard Wang Jinggong's subordinate Xiao He yelling, Brother Lu, the presidential suite is expired. If you don't leave, something will happen. What the hell, I have never seen anything black like this before. You sent it to me for hundreds of thousands of nights. Lu Sanqian opened the door and was furious, but Xiao He pointed to the outside, it's not bad for us, there have been zombies running in just now, pressing on every step, the special police captain Ho asked us to evacuate as soon as possible. Why do things that are good and good suddenly change when they change? Lu Sanqian immediately saw the zombies lined up, staring at each other. The boundary formed was much closer than yesterday, and it seemed that the encircling circle was still shrinking. The people on the pagoda mountain panicked one by one. Wang Jinggong, who was dreaming of getting rich, was no exception. He was instructing to carry food from the side. Lu Sanqian took a closer look. The necks of this goods are all large gold chains, just watches. He wears a whole arm, and the woman next to him may be his wife. There are too many bags. Jewelry is almost too much to wear. What's the matter? Why are you all running down the mountain? Stop talking, the top of the mountain is full of monsters. There were living people all over the mountains and plains, and they ran down in a panic, only to see a few special police officers carrying guns on both sides of the crowd to maintain order. Rira, take the food, and have to escape again. The two began to flee with the army. More and more corpses ran into Pagoda Mountain. They were very fast, and the meatball monsters that could spit out acid spit directly outside the circle. Unexpectedly, Lu Sanqian had it. Prepare, take out and hold the umbrella, at most only a few holes are burnt. Society King, your business ability is not good, so you can protect our safety? So, I will give you my Rolex, and then renew it. Seeing Wang Jinggong jumping around in the crowd like a monkey, Lu Sanqian immediately became happy, but Wang Jinggong said angrily, I will give you all the watches to wear. You step on the horse to protect me and try? I just want to tell you that a $10 electronic watch and $1 million Rolex will turn around the same time. A large group of people ran in the same direction. Behind thee is a human-eating monster. You don't have to run too many, but at least you can't run at the end. All of them have exerted their strength and just want to run. It's a bit faster than the people on either side. Funeral parlor, all enter the funeral parlor. Captain Ho shouted hoarsely, everyone pushed me and rushed in. Lu Sanqian was happy before he even went in, good fellow, they just happened to be in the crematorium. It's really the right place. Thousands of people poured into the funeral home at the same time, and the hall was barely installed. Fortunately, the corpse race stopped and guarded an invisible boundary, but everyone was still in fear, for fear that the corpse race would rush in. Captain Ho led a group of people to block all the passages, but everyone knew that it wouldn't work. Time just passed by. After waiting for a few hours, the corpse clan didn't even have the intention to attack. Captain Ho, what can I do? A middle-aged man ran forward and asked with a sad face, even if the monster does not come in, so many of us will stay here, sooner or later, we will starve to death. It was just too sudden that I did not bring any food. This is not killing me. What's the matter with you? Shouldn't the food be carried with you in this case? Captain Ho looked helpless, it's really impossible, I can give you points here, tighten your belt, and forbearance will pass. How long can it last? The middle-aged man took a look on both sides, and whispered, I think the grain should be handed in at the same time and divided equally, otherwise the few will have all grain in their hands, and the others would have starved to death long ago. I will think about it. Mr. Wang, there is $1 million in this card. I will buy your food. 2 million, I still have to thank you very much after I go out, just give me some food. I also. Wang Jinggong suddenly became a sweet potato, but he was crazy about money earlier and said with a smile, I'm sorry, everyone, I can only rely on myself if I want to eat enough, I will not sell this food. Those people immediately scolded, but Captain Ho stood on a high platform and said, everyone stay quiet, I think. There was a lot of crackling talk, the starting point is good, but Wang Jinggong agreed, and said angrily, why, my own food, I will pay it if I say it, and how does the life and death of others have anything to do with me? I want to live longer, who can I blame for not eating? Don't forget where your food comes from, it's all other people's property. I don't like to listen to these words. I picked it up by my own ability. You say that someone else's is someone else's? The rule of law requires evidence. In short, if there is no food, it will kill one. Whoever wants it. Wang Jinggong sat on the ground like a poppy, I was born as a grandfather fan, and our old king is more or less a wrist. Brothers copy guys. Except the police comrades, whoever dares to move our things, just give him a face. You. Captain Ho couldn't help it, but the middle-aged man in the crowd encouraged him, let's him together. Let me see what he dares to say. Anyway, it's a dead end. It's better to eat a full meal. Who knows that there are very few responders, and everyone around him subconsciously keeps a distance from him. After all, there are a lot of points left in the hands of normal people. Wang Jinggong looked for his reputation and glared at him fiercely, come on, you are the only one, don't you want to grab, don't say I bully, I stand here and let you beat, I sing and let you beat. How about this? Captain Ho thought of a compromise, you who have a lot of food should separate some of them, and the big head will still be in your hands. That's all you need to do, and you can all step back. You can't bear to watch other people starve to death. Team Ho, you have to say that I am the first to raise my hands in support. Wang Jinggong squinted his eyes and swept a circle and said, we are not selfish people, but we have to have a saying for everything. If you do bad things, you can point me to good things. You can't take it for granted if I do good things. The funeral home without electricity is very eerie and terrifying, but in comparison, it is much more reassuring than the outside. After a long escape, everyone is tired like a dead dog, even if it is roaring outside. They still started to sleep on the spot. But Lu Sanqian was so excited that he couldn't sleep. He looked at the Rolex he found. It was already 2 midnight. Li Ro was lying on his lap, pressing him a little uncomfortably, and stood up. Come to ask her to change her sleeping position, but her heart suddenly panicked for no reason. The people in the whole hall, including the special police who watched the night, all fell asleep at some point, motionless as if they were dead, and at the same time gusts of murky wind blew in, like a horror movie in the 1980s. They are located slightly in the back, behind the incinerator, but now that part of the area has become a place for survivors to pee, and a stench can be smelled without getting close. But a group of people stood up and walked back in a row, like sleepwalking. Looking intently, a little black tail-like thing flashed past. He followed quietly, but saw the dozens of people smiling all over, full of excitement, arm in arm, and didn't know what they were doing. The eyes did not open from beginning to end. Fuck! There was a cold back on his back, and several survivors of the disorder walked in with him. Only then did he see that a group of people cut each other's wrists with their nails and teeth, and blood dripped on the ground, forming a weird human head pattern. Go away! He hurriedly broke away from control, knocked down those few with a few punches, and ran into an acquaintance Heaton. Unexpectedly, Wang Jinggong was also fascinated. He immediately became sober by his collision, and wondered what he was doing. Hurry up, there is something in it. What? Wang Jinggong only glanced at him, his heart was frightened, and he ran back quickly, slapped his little brother up. Boom boom! Lu Sanqian directly took the gun in the hand of the special police officer and pulled the trigger again and again. The sound of the gun immediately awakened a large group of people. But before he could speak, his ears exploded. A huge explosion sounded and the ground followed. It's shaking. Rira! In a panic, Lu Sanqian hugged Li Ro, wishing to shove her into his body. Anyway, his rough skin was thick and he would be fine as long as he covered his head. But he still underestimated the earthquake. Large swaths of masonry fell, and even the ground cracked a big hole. He didn't even think about it. A fierce man plunged in, and his heart suddenly became cold for a long time. Fell into a pool of water. Grass, I haven't fainted and you are fainted. Lu Sanqian couldn't laugh or cry. He hugged Li Ro, who was fainted to the side against the cave wall, and then turned on the phone light, only to realize that it was not a natural formation, but an ancient tomb, which happened to be a funeral home. It stands to reason that the following problems should be found during the construction of the funeral home. My buddy, what's the matter? why did you shoot us down after a few shots? Wang Jinggong clutched his head and walked over from the water. This man was also dead, and many of the people who had just fallen fell directly into Meatloaf. I only now know the reason why the corpse clan didn't enter the pagoda mountain. Lu Sanqian said in a deep voice, they didn't dare to come in at all, because they couldn't afford the stuff in this ancient tomb. Is this an ancient tomb? Wang Jinggong staggered and almost couldn't stand firmly. Well, I didn't escape, and I came to the old monster's house. Then, shouldn't we become a buffet? It's better to think about how to get up. I won't have a chance to run again later. Brother, are you stupid? Wang Jinggong curled his lips and said, since you are here, why are you going up there? It's a death anyway. Why don't you find a way under the ground? There is water in it, maybe it's still connected to the cave. Besides, the old monster must go up. I have dinner, and the house is definitely safe. Wow! Tailless lizards have never expected in this life that humans still have this hobby. Even a full-time killing executioner will be moved by the screams, but this sting is like a tailless lizard with a tight throttle and no sense of sight. Suddenly, he flew out like a racing car. Fuck! It's awesome! The excited King's voice changed shape. Several people clung to the scales of the tailless lizard and almost fell off. At the same time, they exploded like a serial cannon behind him, and the old zombie fought with Kilong. But Lu Sanqian glanced back, only to find that the old zombie had been smashed back to his hometown. Drive! Wow! Whenever the tailless lizard slowed down, Lu Sanqian stabbed his sickle in to maintain his power. This speed was similar to that of a car, and regardless of the terrain, a few people came to the riverside unimpeded all the way. Get out of the car quickly, I can't make it through. The other side of the river was outside the city. Although it was night, the opposite side was a lot brighter, but there were all high-ranking corpses on the edge of the city. The height of more than 10 meters would scare people. It was impossible to ride a tailless lizard. Puff! A spout of blood spouted out, and the sickle was finally pulled out. The tailless lizard groaned painfully and happily, and fainted with a swing of its head. For it was a relief. What should I do? Brother! Wang Jinggong and others have already regarded Lu Sanqian as the backbone. Lu Sanqian squinted his eyes and said, fight! I rushed over, otherwise there would be no chance again. Maid, you can fight it. However, the oncoming zombies are countless, and the corpses mixed in it are even more difficult to deal with, let alone crossing the river, even the bridge can't be reached. Wang Jinggong suddenly said, brother, when the old monster handed you the knife, something seemed to be stuffed in. You can try to see if it works. Real. Lu Sanqian pulled out the tiger's teeth with a dead horse as a living horse doctor, and slashed towards the monsters. Who knew that the sword flew out with a boom, stopping the corpse who was flying over, even the steel cables on the bridge have been cut several times. Several people were stunned. The power was a bit exaggerated, but Lu Sanqian said depressed, it's broken, this thing can't be controlled at all. Just now this shot ran out of electricity. Then what are you waiting for, run quickly. Wang Jinggong ran away, and several people ran wildly on the cable bridge. The corpse tribe's vitality was extremely tenacious, only the upper body was still there, and the corpse tribe was also very conscientious. It didn't even destroy the cable bridge. Perhaps it was too much. Believed in his own strength. But when they crossed the bridge, they were silly. A giant corpse with a height of more than 10 meters was just like a mountain, but the fat on the chest was pierced by the blade of a sword, and it looked like it had a little torn skin. Lu Sanqian quickly took out the tiger's teeth and chopped the air a few times. It was really only a lonely chop. The giant corpse walked towards them with its head twisted, and the earth swayed in its footsteps. My own person, brother. Lu Sanqian was so anxious that his tears were about to come down, and he hurriedly fled with Li Ro's hand, and had to look back from time to time, for fear that he would not pay attention, so he only pulled one arm. Wang Jinggong broke the jar, and simply found a rock and pretended to be dead. Just when the giant corpse was about to step on them into meat sauce, a shell hit its front door, followed by several more rounds. The cannonball hit, and the huge body of the giant corpse began to teeter a little. Run! Wang Jin jumped up violently and rushed out of the city madly. The sound of the gunshots was undoubtedly a shot of a booster for everyone. Although the giant corpse became angry, it still retreated under the rain of bullets. The army is here, we can save it. Li Ro's eyes filled with excitement, and several people finally saw the scene outside the black mist clearly for the first time in these days. The well-trained troops are providing strong artillery support. A few people ran out of the black fog, and the whole person seemed to be reborn. The tight body immediately relaxed, and he raised his head and lay on the ground laughing. We are out, we are out. Wang Jinggong directly tore off his clothes and ran naked, wishing to rush up to give the Bing brothers a loving hug, but Lu Sanqian looked tense and walked slowly towards the army. Boom! A bullet suddenly hit Lu Sanqian's chest, and the picture seemed to freeze instantly, and the expressions of the joyful people suddenly changed in surprise. We are alive! Xiao He yelled and waved desperately, but the troops didn't shoot at him at all. They only heard a clam, and a dazzling light shone on Lu Sanqian's body. They noticed that several soldiers were holding cameras-like instruments in their hands. Brother Lu! Li Ro cried heartbreakingly, but Lu Sanqian didn't seem to be a serious problem, and pushed her away with his hands violently, before he could explain, turned around and ran into the black mist again. The bullets didn't kill him, and he undoubtedly confirmed his identity as a mutant human. A series of bullets swished past. Lu Sanqian could only cover his head, and ran to the river with all his strength and jumped into the water. Sister, go quickly! Wang Jinggong almost dragged Li Ro out, and several zombies ran out with their mouths open. They only slowed down after chasing a certain distance. The troops had probably regarded Lu Sanqian as a zombie just now. Sister, listen to me, you must keep it secret later, just treat it like this has never happened. Wang Jinggong lowered his voice and said, Brother, he must have his own considerations, and I can see that he is different from ordinary people. He may be afraid of being dragged to study when he just ran away. With his ability, it must be impossible to die. But Li Ro's mood eased a little, and several people in chemical protective clothing ran over immediately, separated them all, and took them to the back. Lu Sanqian, who jumped into the water, was digging around like a toad, trying to find a place to sneak ashore, but suddenly a black light flashed in the sky, unbiasedly shining straight down at him, and he had no time to react, so he lost to perceive. Help me, help me! A withered face stared at him with wide hollow eye sockets, and he knew that he was dreaming, but he was still caught by nightmare, but there was no other words on this face, which made him confused. He scolded the old face for the 18th generation of ancestors. In the end, it was estimated that the product couldn't help it. He bit her badly, and he woke up immediately because of the pain. Puff! When I woke up, I saw a row of corpse-deformed frogs lying on his belly, bulging his cheeks dumbly. Seeing him come alive, he immediately spit out a mouthful of water, and he happened to be stuck in the middle of a pile of rotten wood. Mad, the frogs have become refined these years. Climbing onto the shore wet, he actually shook out a corpse fish from his crotch. There should be a frog in this place, which should be far away from the city. After packing up his things, he found that he also carried the brilliant tiger tooth. He remembered very clearly that the black light was actually directed at the knife, and he was implicated because of luck. He took a long breath, and there were a few white clouds floating in the sky, and the sun shattered unscrupulously. The feeling of long absence made him refreshed. Although the corpse poison will go down the river, it shouldn't be difficult to control, but a city will fall and the country will soon be resolved. But he didn't know how long he had been floating, he just felt that he was hungry. It is reasonable to say that he can actually eat corpse fish, but he can't go to his mouth because of the smell of corpses. He has to find a village after thinking about it. You can steal some corn and sweet potatoes. Thinking of this, he climbed up a small hill, but when he looked around, his heart suddenly jumped, and he saw that the distance was all wrapped in black mist, and he was not dropped in any direction. In this way, I am afraid that other places will not be spared, perhaps the whole world has become a paradise for corpses. A zombie leaned over. It is estimated that he accidentally drank the poison in the tap water. If ordinary people saw it with grinning teeth, they would definitely run away, but Lu Sanqian was as excited as seeing the courier, and he ran to him unceremoniously. It searched for things in the pockets of his clothes, and it really found packages of cheap cigarettes and lighters. Oh, it will suck. I lighted the cigarette and took a violent sip, almost choked him to death, and the zombies did not leave, followed him with interest, with a look of ignorance and ignorance just out of society. Poor, how old is this? A good life is gone. From now on, follow me. Make sure you drink spicy food. Lu Sanqian patted it on the shoulder, and walked up the river with one person and one corpse on their backs. This is a county seat, right? Lu Sanqian, who was eating sweet potatoes, asked the little corpse next to him, but it was more like a question and answer. In front of it was a small county surrounded by mountains. There are only a handful of tall buildings. The key is this place. Without being invaded by the black mist, the zombies alone are like an amusement park for him. It didn't take long for him to take the corpse brother into the county town. The zombies were very excited when they saw him. They sniffed from the left and looked at the right. If he wasn't too lazy to take too many people to sway the city, he would definitely accept them all. Jishuan County, damn, then I'm drifting to the range of Zhongcheng. He was surprised when he took out his ID card from the pocket of a zombie. From here to Dongshan, it would be at least 100 kilometers up. I'm going, this is too evil, right? When he found a mobile phone to check the date, he almost died on the spot. He actually slept for 9 days in this sleep, and he would have been soaked in the water as an average person. Roar! A sudden roar of the corpse shocked him. He turned his head and glanced at what turned out to be a turtle big fat zombie, and looked angry at him, as if he was going to teach it to be a corpse. Don't take the limelight too much. Lu Sanqian laughed immediately. The evolution of the zombies was very simple and rude. There were only 2 directions, strength and speed. This head was also a small second level, and the fat all over his body was greasy. Suddenly hundreds of zombies gathered on the main road, standing in a circle, leaving a clearing space, letting the 2 of them fight a fair duel like a crowd eating melons. When are zombies so smart? Lu Sanqian couldn't laugh or cry, and drew the tiger's tooth. The knife, the big fat zombie immediately rushed over, and the big fist of the sandbag hit his head, but he was extremely fast, and he dodged easily and jumped up. Hya stabbed the tire into the back of the zombie's head. Puff! The zombies fell heavily to the ground, and the other zombies were all taken aback. One by one immediately became honest, but Lu Sanqian suddenly discovered that a subtle black shadow was sucked into the knife. This is... Lu Sanqian couldn't believe his eyes and hurriedly swung a knife into the air, but there was no horror effect when the old zombie first handed it to him, and he didn't even raise the airwave of farting. Come here. He hooked his hand, and a silly zombie didn't understand what he meant and came over, but who knew that he chopped off its head with a single knife, and smashed its brain again. No response. He chopped down more than 10 heads one after another, but it still had no effect, and even the black shadow did not appear. The other zombies became more and more frightened and moved away from him. Until he killed 50 or 60 heads, these zombies all fled in a swarm. Nothing, you guys. Lu Sanqian put away the knife in disappointment, otherwise he was really afraid that these zombies would be driven madly by him to resist, and when he was tired, he would be exhausted to death, but when he looked back, he found out that the little corpse was not. I knew when I was scared away. Why are you here? Don't you be afraid to wait for a big guy to beat you as a son. When he found the little corpse brother, he found out that this product was facing a clothing store in a daze. He walked over angrily, but he heard a chicking sound, and a short arrow shot into the little corpse brother's eye socket. Of course, the corpse brother's ordinary 5 scum cannot bear such an injury, so he fell straight to the ground. Who is so wicked? Is it a daze here to hinder you? Lu Sanqian looked at the top of the clothing store and saw a young man waving at him with a crossbow and arrow. Come up while the zombies are not paying attention, otherwise it will be too late. Said it was convenient to put down a nylon rope, Lu Sanqian finally saw the living person, and quickly climbed up with the rope. As soon as he entered the house, the young man closed the window and closed the curtains skillfully, using air very carefully. The freshener was sprayed again. Your place is a small mall. Lu Sanqian, who had just entered, looked a little stunned, and the tiger's tooth and knife on his back made him more like a social blind current. In front of him, there were 3 men and 2 women, all young people. The guy holding the crossbow and arrows smiled and said, "You guys should have escaped from the old street. My name is Zhang Huan. We are all old classmates. This is..." Zhang Huan introduced them all, but Lu Sanqian was absent-minded and looked at this small shopping mall. The bottom is basically brand name clothing, jewelry, and other shops. There are all sorts of miscellaneous shops on the 2nd floor, and the last 3. There are various restaurants on the floor, and you can't go up further up. There is an escalator in the center. However, there are far more people here than the few people in front of him. There are a lot of people on the 3 floors. You are lucky, this happened to be renovated at the mall. Lu Sanqian pointed to the decoration materials next to him, and Zhang Huan nodded, yes, it seems that something happened to the boss. At that time, the mall was almost gone. After it was settled, the boss simply researched and asked for something. Lucky, fortunately this is the case, otherwise the door will be opened as usual, and now it must be full of zombies, and we will never survive. This place is pretty good, zombies can't come in. Lu Sanqian replied perfunctorily, turning around and walking upstairs, but one of the Baijid girls stared at him and said, "Hey, why are you like this? Anyway, we saved you, what are you? Manner. Oh, I'm sorry to forget it." He just remembered this. In the eyes of Zhang Huan and others, he was the one being saved. My name is Lu Sanqian, Lu Bangs Lu, and 3000 beauties 3000. Cut, with such a name, you are not a good person at first sight. The big eyes whispered in a low voice, ordinary people can't hear it, Lu Sanqian can hear clearly, but he doesn't bother to care. Who stepped on a horse to put people in? On the 3rd floor, a middle-aged man with a big belly came down slowly. He skipped Lu Sanqian and stared at Zhang Huan with his nostrils and said, "You little boys always give me nothing to do. Is it right? This place is not yours alone, and his ration must be counted on you. Du Feng, you deceived so much." A male student couldn't help himself, and said, "We are already running out of food. You have collected so much food every day, and you only give us such a bit of food on the 1st and 2nd floors. Why? Who told you that we are getting big fish and meat every day? I have lost at least 5 caddies in the past few days." Du Feng squinted at him, "We also tightened our belts on the 3rd floor. I admit that the daily distribution is indeed small, but I am not considering it for everyone. You must know that the world has fallen. The big cities in the east have almost all being wrapped in the black mist, ZF can't take care of himself, waiting for the rescue to wait until the year of the monkey. You think there is a lot of food, but the hundreds of people here are not long-mouthed, and can last a few months after letting go. Besides, I am not a person who can't save me. At the beginning, you remember how many people were there. I dare to say that I have a clear conscience. I saw it on the third floor just now because you saved people and there were many zombies outside. Doubled, which means that we have been wasted all the cautiousness in the past few days. And you haven't checked this person. If you are infected with the virus, don't you need to tell me? I will eat the food, and he will be with us in the future. Zhang Huan said in a deep voice. Du Feng immediately smiled and nodded, very well, since you saved the person, then let you pull it, but don't blame me for not reminding you, the food tonight is less than usual. Wait, why did you let me join in suddenly, without asking whether the person agrees or not? Unexpectedly, Lu Sanqian interrupted suddenly, and Du Feng smiled with interest. Oh, you don't want to? Why, do you want to follow me? Who are you? Lu Sanqian rubbed his nose and said contemptuously, do you really think you are a big leader with a big belly? Just like you can get a little special treatment on the bus. The young guy will give you a seat or something. You put your mouth clean. As soon as Du Feng frowned, a thin monkey man behind him yelled at him, and he took out a gun and pointed directly at Lu Sanqian. Lu Sanqian was also shocked. His family is no better than the United States, this thing it's not everywhere, no wonder this product can show off here, dare to have firearms. You took it out early, if you took it out early, wouldn't I just pretend to be forced? Lu Sanqian stubbornly said something insulting, raised his hand and said with a smile, I don't think you guys say that pulling is disgusting, I just made a joke. Anyone with a discerning eye can see it, elder brother. This outfit and temperament, a proper leader, a capable person, in fact, what I mean is that I don't need to share food with them, what I have is. Hehe, then you can just think about it, don't ask someone again when that time comes, and talk ill of me secretly, your satchel should be enough for you for several days. After Du Feng finished speaking, he turned upstairs. The few dog-legged people in the back glanced at Lu Sanqian as if they were mentally retarded, and continued to follow. Hey, you provoke Du Feng as soon as you come, and you will definitely have no good life next. Zhang Huan sighed, but Lu Sanqian smiled indifferently, doesn't he have a few broken guns? At most, he doesn't distribute food to me. Follow me, brother. See the wind to make a rudder, one set in front of you and one set on the back. The more you look at him, the more disgusting he feels, why didn't you brag in front of him just now? It's not coercion, Zhang Liang still dare to confront him, do you dare now? Don't dare. Lu Sanqian shook his head stubbornly, and then smiled and looked at that male classmate Zhang Liang, you are done, too. Exposing him in front of so many people, even if everyone knows it, no one has the courage to say it. What? Brother Huan, we shouldn't save him at all, you still expect him to help you. Ryoko, you are indeed rash. Zhang Huan shook his head, and after thinking about it, he said to Lu Sanqian, Du Feng has several pistols in his hand. Although they are all pneumatic, they can definitely kill people. I am actually selfish in saving you. We are in this situation. If you don't hold a group, you will only get more and more dead. Why are you jumping out of the truth? Lu Sanqian immediately became happy. He took out a few packets of compressed biscuits from his shoulder bag and handed them to them, anyway, you saved me and I didn't run away. I will give you these packets to eat. Don't worry, I belong to a camel. Worry about eating, by the way, where do you have water? I want to make a hot pot to eat. Oh fucking, this fragrant, brother, you can go to open a spicy soup shop in the future. Lu Sanqian smiled at Zhang Liang who was helping, but the latter said angrily, we can't wait for a biscuit to be broken into several pieces and eat, you still want to eat hot pot. I thought you had brought a bucket at best instant noodles, who knows your whole bag and clothes. Pants pockets are filled with fresh vegetables and frozen meat and fish balls. Brother, where did you get it from? I don't care. We will give all the water we allocated. If you use it, I have to take a bite. I'll give you a bite after the big deal. It's easy to talk, and quickly bring a fan over, greedy people outside. Lu Sanqian didn't do personnel affairs, and deliberately fanned the fragrance outside. The people living in other shops on the second floor were all hooked out to see which dog day actually dared to open a small stove. What to look at, this is a bonus for newcomers to enter the market. I am unhappy to find Boss Du. What are they all gathering here? If you hear it, I will charge a fee. Lao Lu opened his eyes and said nonsense, and a group of people left cursingly, otherwise it would be more uncomfortable to stay here and smell. This is how Lu Sanqian knew that most of the people here came by climbing ropes from both sides of the mall, and this mall was just sandwiched between two buildings, with only one entrance underneath, and the closed rolling shutters were used by them. Several layers of cement have been sealed, not to mention the other windows, and Du Feng is still letting people continue to reinforce the mall, preparing to turn it into a fortress. As long as there is no accident, he can at least be the emperor of the earth for several years here, and those pistols are enough to let him do whatever he wants among the survivors. Fragrant, really fragrant. Several other people said they didn't want to eat or not, it was inappropriate, but as soon as the fragrance came out, Emma was really fragrant. In the end, 6 people gathered together and ate the hot pot. Zhang Huan and others contributed 2 packs of instant noodles. They drank a big pot of soup completely, and even the big eyes changed Lu Sanqian's opinion. At the same time, he couldn't help worrying about the future of this idiot. After drinking and eating, Zhang Liang couldn't do without bragging. Zhang Liang would like to go and hand in Du Feng's gun now, and return a place in the mall. The big eyes are still there. I don't know what to do to persuade him. I really thought he had such a courage. Persuaded, the man will definitely work harder. Still Zhang Huan said, Fatty Du doesn't dare to go too far. He is afraid that other people will riot and the fish will die and the net will be broken. But if this situation develops, we will be trapped in this for the rest of our lives. You want to go out? Who doesn't want to go out? With big eyes, hands and legs, head resting on knees, I can't do anything here, except for chatting in a daze, just waiting for food and eating. I can't even take a shower, and some women have already gone to the 3rd floor. I am afraid that they will come hard in the future, it will be worse than death. Don't worry Kiki, I will never let them mess around. Zhang Liang patted his chest to make sure, and Zhang Huan asked again, Brother Lu, you escaped from outside, what is the situation outside now? Is there a possibility of escaping from the city? It depends. It's easy for me alone, but it's difficult if the goal is too big. It started blowing again. Big Eyes said speechlessly, if you don't brag, you're still a person, you can die if you don't brag, it's so powerful, why don't you go out of the city, why are you here? If you are young, I won't tell you. Lu Sanqian laughed and said, actually, it is not always good to escape. Jishuan County is not in the dark fog. How safe is it? If you are bored, find something to do by yourself, talk about love, engage in a relationship, and kiss more every day. Shouldn't the couple's time pass, but safety measures must be taken, otherwise life will be lost. I think you and Zhang Liang are a good match. Why aren't you together? Brother Lu, what are you talking about? No, he's too familiar. Big Eyes replied without thinking, I and he are good buddies, think about it if you are with your buddies, it would be so disgusting, and my significant other must be gentle and gentle. At least it's about the same as Zhang Huan. Zhang Huan smiled, but Zhang Liang flashed a disappointed look, and Lu Sanqian saw it clearly. Lu Sanqian? It's really you. Suddenly a woman opened the door and said in surprise, he glanced at it, but didn't recognize it for a while. The woman wore a trench coat and a pair of jeans on her lower body. Even if she only put on a light makeup, her face was exquisite. The only drawback was that her chest was not big enough, but both her figure and her face happened to be on Lu Sanqian's point. What's more, there are only more than 200 people in the mall, and there are even fewer beautiful women. It is a fair flower to grow up like this. Beauty, we have an appointment before. Not sure about asking, the woman immediately cursed angrily. Ask your sister, why are you so sassy? You forgot, my house is not far from your scrap purchase station, where you can sell it. You are still licking your face and adding me WeChat when you return to the scrap. Wait a minute, let me slow down. Lu Sanqian's brain was swiftly running, flashing past hundreds of old ladies, and finally matched up with the big beauty in front of him, and he said in surprise with a shot of his forehead, one time you were the one who sold waste products and hid a pocket of stones in the innermost part. You babble, I found a few words from my little brother, which is really nice. I remember what you called it. Colgate. Fart. My name is Gao Ji, no show. It's the same whether you show it or not. Lu Sanqian laughed and said, I'll go, how many years of cultivation is the fate, we can meet both of us in time of the end of the world, but why did you come here and you work here? Don't mention it, one sentence or two is not clear. Gao Ji waved his hand and said, you just came in, there should be a lot of good things in your hand, wee fellow, you can't hide and tuck it, anyway, I let you pick it up for a few days before. It's late, if you come early, maybe you can get some soup. Lu Sanqian pointed to the slightly shiny pot. Gao Ji left behind a sentence of pour, and was ready to leave. Unexpectedly, he juggled a piece of perfume out of his jacket pocket. I don't know the brand, I don't know if this is good, but I picked the most expensive one. Be careful, it's up to the goddess to accept it. Don't you know there is a counter on the first floor? Gao Ji looked at the fool's expression, but she accepted it and smiled. Next time, I will give you something more practical. I am pragmatic, but thank you, Qian Qian. After speaking, he walked away slowly on high heels. Lu Sanqian shook his head repeatedly. Naked seduction, how can I control it? Isn't this bullying the honest person? Wife is like this, so why not if the child is not relative? The last male student who had been muffled all the time suddenly came up with a sentence in classical Chinese, and Lu Sanqian gave it a thumbs up as soon as he heard it. Brother Lu, you don't really like her anymore, do you? Why, are you jealous? Bah! I'm trying to persuade you not to do useless work, until you end up being hit by both mental and material. Big Eyes kindly said, she is a famous beauty among us. There are many people who pursue her, but none of them succeeded. But I guess her good days are coming to an end. I heard that Yuan Bin on the third floor is also ready to fight. Her idea. Yuan Bin, what's the background? Du Fatty's first thug is a serious social man. No one dared to provoke him if he had been in prison before. Society, have you heard of Wang Jinggong? That's my brother. What kind of cruel role can a small county town have? Lu Sanqian smiled and waved his hands, but saw Zhang Liang sneaking out the tiger tooth knife. A cold light flashed, and the eyes of all the people were widened. Zhang Liang's eyes lit up and said, Brother Lu, your knife is not fake. I thought you were cosplaying. Putting this stuff beforehand, it's imprisonment to catch it. That's not it, but be careful when you touch it, this thing is very sharp. As soon as Lu Sanqian finished speaking, he heard Zhang Liang take a hiss breath, and said in surprise, I sucked it up without touching it. Your knife is too evil. Fart, I think you are drunk and have hallucinations. Lu Sanqian quickly snatched it over. This is not a joke. He just saw Zhang Liang's finger blood being sucked in by a knife. Fortunately, other people didn't pay much attention to it, so he just said something about it. The words turned over. Okay, I'm full, I went to sleep later, don't come to me if I'm fine, I dream of killing people, female classmates please. After throwing this sentence, he took the knife and went into the house to sleep. Others were wondering why he went to bed so early. It was just dark, but he would understand when he thought about it. Maybe it was too exhausting to escape today. You eat this in the morning. At 10 o'clock the next day, Lu Sanqian pointed to the rotten vegetable leaves on the table and frowned, who didn't know what it was. Zhang Liang smiled bitterly, on the third floor, we give priority to making these perishable vegetables for us. The first few days were good, and there was even meat. Now it's not good. It is said that the meat is made into dried meat and bacon. Are you still picking? The big eyes were depressed and said, I had to eat less, so I have to share it with you. Let's find a plate. The mouth is short. Who told us to eat hot pot yesterday? Tisk tisk. Lu Sanqian took a piece of cabbage leaf and threw it into his mouth, and swallowed it into his stomach with an uncomfortable face. Grass, this cabbage is so old that you can eat it, don't eat it, I'll prepare breakfast for you. Listen to you, right? His big eyes turned white, and he took out the bowl and began to divide his food, but Lu Sanqian entered the house, took out a black bag from it, and opened it, almost astonished their jaws. Hurry and hide in. Zhang Huan said in a low voice immediately. Other people didn't react slowly, and they hid them under the cabinet after taking their bags. Chi Chi asked him where these things came from. If I said I picked it up in this room, you definitely don't believe it, and you can't even believe it if I'm out to search. Lu Sanqian haha and said, why do you care about so much? Can you just eat? Instant noodles, chicken legs and jumping fish, there are still a few boxes of self-heating pot in the key. If you don't want to eat, then forget it. I'm so hungry. After speaking, he tore a bag of chicken drumsticks and ate it. How many people could stand it? Just about to close the door, Lu Sanqian said again, why are you closing the door? Are you a guilty conscience? The patrol knows you have it. Question, rest assured, a little attention will be fine, the big deal is that I brought it yesterday. But Zhang Huan still stood in place and solemnly said, Brother Lu, you didn't steal these things on the third floor, right? You are too courageous. If they find out, Fatty Do will definitely take you and kill you. So what? As long as he doesn't know, he can get it. Although he went out to search in the middle of the night, he still did not deny it. After all, it was too troublesome to explain. Brother Huan, hurry up and eat. I've had enough. Brother Lu did the right thing. As long as we are careful, we won't be discovered. It's not difficult to hide this thing. Zhang Liang and others had already eaten it, and the other two pretended to be chatting at the door, for fear that someone would come. Zhang Huan could only shake his head when he saw this, and took a piece of bread and ate it. Just leave the bag here, and I have to break up with you after this meal. Lu Sanqian stood up suddenly and said, Fatty Do found out that I have to hurt you. It's not worth it. I'll still be more steadfast, but you can come and find me whatever you want to eat in the future. I live in the small room next to me. Room. Don't Brother Lu, you can steal it this time. Fatty Do is very cruel about food. Last time someone stole a piece of ham, and he was beaten to death. Zhang Liang didn't care about food and immediately advised, but Lu Sanqian stubbornly said, I'm used to going by myself. I still talk and sleep and make a lot of noise at night. I occupied your house last night. Tell me the truth. I'm a little bit sad, and besides, I really can't eat these things and steal things. I must steal them. I just barely maintain my life like this. Okay then. When several people saw that he had decided to go, they stopped talking. Lu Sanqian turned around and said, Zhang Huan, you helped me spread a message among the small groups on the first floor and the second floor, so just say me. There are all kinds of materials here, which can be exchanged at the same price. If you want, let them come and find me. You are crazy, aren't you, plucking hair on the tiger's head? What are you afraid of? As long as it is good, who will report me on horseback? I don't believe they can endure this kind of hardship. Lu Sanqian disagreed, and then asked, by the way, has any one of you died accidentally or disappeared directly? I suspect there is a problem with the third floor, and there are always screams in the middle of the night. I don't know, it shouldn't be. Zhang Huan thought for a while, usually so many of us have never gotten together, and one or two less people can't find it at all. Okay, then you help me pay more attention. After saying this, Lu Sanqian went out and spent a few packs of food to disperse the people in the room he looked at. The food in the mall is hard currency, but other daily necessities are not at all. Lack. Why is it so hungry and thirsty? The Huya knife in his hand trembles like a massage stick from time to time, indicating that there is definitely something weird in this mall, but he can't just look up so stupidly, so he stayed in this broken place. If it can restore Huya to its former glory, let alone the corpse clan leader, even if a general manager comes, he has the confidence to touch it, and it can make Huya so excited, there must be something that can make it absorb energy. After a short break, the door suddenly knocked. He opened the door and saw that he was a thin man with triangular eyes and a little beard. When he saw him, he smiled and looked awkward. Brother, heard that you have supplies here, how can I change it? The news dissipated very quickly. Lu Sanqian let him into the house, and the latter asked with a smile, what do I need to change? In fact, there is almost nothing in the mall, just lack of food. Although I can barely eat enough, but those things are really good. No mouth, as long as you have something to eat, I'm sure I will find everything for you. Turkey-flavored steamed rice, don't you have something to eat? Lu Sanqian graciously took out a bag of food and threw it to him. The triangular eyes immediately lit up. After receiving it, he stuffed his clothes cheeky. Lu Sanqian also began to say, actually, I don't lack anything, I mainly lack people. Lack of people? Brother, you don't want to fight Boss Do you? It can't be said to be against it. Lu Sanqian got on the cigarette and laughed, as soon as I came, Fatty Do gave me a slap in the face. I can bear it, but what does he eat for us? Really treat him as an emperor. Yes, I brought someone on it and drank it spicy, and threw the rotten leftovers to us. I can't bear this matter. I definitely want to be fair to the big guy. Oh, Boss Do is also thinking about everyone. Triangular eyes pretended to say something, turned around to check the doors and windows, and then whispered, who said no? We wanted to make him wrong. Why should he make himself an official? It's not that he had a gun. He was killed a long time ago. The gun was not a bluff. We really didn't have the guts to face him heathen. Of course I know. Lu Sanqian shook the ashes. Zhang Huan was the first to notify you and he hasn't notified the others. It proves that you should be very open on the first and second floors, and you can talk to anyone. I told you the truth. Well, I have food, and there is a lot of it. At least I can fill this room. The reason why I didn't bring it in was because I was worried that Fatty Do would eat all of my food. Please help me to contact the little boss on the first and second floors. The people under us should hug each other, and the food I bring must be our master. Where is the food? Triangular eyebrows frowned, Big brother, don't fool me, it's not that I doubt you. Everyone knows that there is a lot of food outside. The key is that no one dares to go out. How can you bring in so much food? You just do what I say. Lu Sanqian confessed to him. The latter nodded and left the door with an expression of disbelief, and then a lot of people came one after another, which immediately attracted the attention of the third-floor doglegs, but they entered the door. I can't find anything, I can only tell them to be honest and don't mess up. Unexpectedly, Gao Ji also found him, and as soon as he entered the door, he drove a man out, put his sleek on the chair, and looked at him with wintry eyes and did not speak. Sisters, there are flowers on my face, you can't help me looking at me like this. Lu Sanqian turned around and pulled out a large bag of snacks from the bottom of the bed and handed them all. Gao Ji was overjoyed and immediately said in surprise, I didn't expect you to get so much food. Even if I missed you, you are still there is potential. This big bag is specially prepared for you, how about it, have you begun to fall in love with me? Humph, just talk about love with just a few things, then this love is too cheap, but I still have a lot of goodwill towards you, keep on cheering, brother. Can you stop talking like that, I get goosebumps when I step on a horse. Lu Sanqian said in a huff, it doesn't matter if I don't think about it. When I think of it, your image disappears immediately. When I chatted with you back then, you weren't as screaming as you are now. The curse is worse than me. I scolded me for being bloody, and put me in a circle of friends. All the girls who made me thought I was a pervert. Are you still standing still? Gao Ji's long black silk legs were folded together and changed positions, rolling his eyes. You can't leave your chest when chatting with you, you can't leave your breasts, and you'll want cool photos with me whenever you have a chance. You are really deducting money, and you are not willing to spend a penny. What kind of girl do you want? Old Lu Sanqian blushed and waved his hand quickly. Let's not talk about the second brother, let's not talk about these messy things, let's talk about you. Do I remember you are not a doctor? Let's tell you that, my greatest dream in the past was to be a doctor. Yellow. Gao Ji said coldly, there was an old miscellaneous in the hospital because of his high position and always wanted to take advantage of me. Once I couldn't bear it, he asked someone to beat him up. Later, the hospital actually gave me a punishment. I was still curiously saying that the flies did not bite the seamless eggs. When I was angry, the leader was beaten again. I wanted to entrust the relationship to the hospital in the county. Who knew it was a resident evil? Vigorous enough, I take it. What about you, did you open a chain store here after collecting the tatters? I made a mistake, accidentally. He only had the beginning of his words, and the door was pushed aside with a boom. After looking at Gao Ji with a fierce face, he cursed at Lu Sanqian viciously, it's you who are doing the wind and rain underneath, right? Are you tired of riding horses and wanting to rebel? I'm wronged, Brother Bin, who did you report me? Isn't it Zhang Huan? He must have framed me because he thinks I don't want to mess with him. A bunch of kids still want me to mess with them. Lu Sanqian casually grinned, he knew that this product in front of him was Yuan Bin mentioned with big eyes. Someone must have leaked the news and wanted to be a dog leg on the third floor, but he had expected this a long time ago, after all. There is no reason for a small group to believe him. We didn't do it. With big eyes stupidly explaining outside, Yuan Bin glanced at the snack bag in front of Gao Ji, his anger came up immediately, sneered and waved his hand, and the next few men found a lot of food. I remember you only brought a satchel when you came in, where did these things come from? I went out and tried my best to get in. Ha ha. Yuan Bin squinted his eyes and said cruelly, do you treat me as a fool or we are all fools? Do you think the zombies outside eat dry food? I have known that you are not a good thing for a long time. I see these foods. It's all the common property of our big guy that you stole on the third floor. Come here, tie him up for me and let Mr. Du send it out. Wait a minute. Lu Sanqian raised his hand and said loudly, you don't have to do it, I will do it myself, but before that, I have to say a few words. You guys really can't support the wall with mud, I will help you. You are so embarrassed to report me, a group of idiots and dogs are all showing affection. Ha ha ha, it seems that I can't spare you this time. Even if you don't die, you won't be able to hang out in the mall. Yuan Bin laughed, but Lu Sanqian pointed his nose with a finger, you gangster, don't think I don't know that you are avenging your personal vengeance. You have been holding a grudge for what happened back then, I just told your mother. Do you have a leg? To tell you the truth, I wouldn't be with you even without your mother. Can you say that again? Yuan Bin's green veins bulged up, even if he knew he was babbling, he couldn't control his emotions. Unexpectedly, Lu Sanqian repeated it again, your mother and I love each other sincerely. He raised his fist. Just hit the ladder on the head. Young people who don't speak martial arts ethics, they actually engage in sneak attacks. Lu Sanqian was unscathed, but instead kicked him back 2 meters away, shocking everyone present, including Gao Ji, who had been silent. "You are dead." Yuan Bin rubbed his abdomen and took out the pistol from his pocket. Who knows, Lu Sanqian was ready a long time ago, and he turned over and jumped out of the window. "Remember, I will not let the few people who reported me as a ghost." Lu Sanqian, who jumped from the second floor, was nothing serious. Yuan Bin leaned to the window with a gun, but he could only see Lu Sanqian's toes. The bullet could not be hit, but he immediately laughed. "The sound, because a large group of zombies have gathered around." "Fool, is there a way to survive if you jump like this?" "Hey, I thought there was someone capable, but I didn't expect it to be this." The crowd talked for a while. Lu Sanqian was already dead in their eyes, but who knew that a sound mixed with people crying, barking, and humming suddenly sounded, and their hearts were stunned. "What's the matter?" The people who dispersed again rushed to look at a few windows, and saw that Lu Sanqian went crazy and ran in the direction of the zombie. His expression was terrified, as if something was chasing him, and even the zombie had retreated a few steps. "Don't come here, come here, come here to help me." Lu Sanqian broke a dog to eat in a puff, and he crawled away with his hands and feet together, and he kept asking for help from above. "Help me, please, there are ghosts. There are ghosts underneath. Don't come over, ah ah ah. What's wrong, what's wrong?" Seeing this posture, none of them were uneasy. The zombies were afraid to be like this. They really couldn't figure out what they could have.